Okay, so I'd like to welcome everybody to our class today and hope and pray that everyone is well on this warm and lovely Wednesday morning in April. Getting close to Pesach, ladies. Don't get frantic. Just clean up the crumbs. Do what you can. Don't let it get to you. Pesach should be a happy, pleasant time rather than a crazy time. Although the grocery stores, for all of us Ashkenazim, make us crazy. I'd like to welcome everyone who's watching this class on Zoom, who is not on Wednesday, and thank them for joining us. Please remember that you can make a donation to Hadassah at any time in honor of the class or our learning. Many of us went to a program at Hadassah's new rehabilitation center in Yerushalayim this week and saw the amazing things that they're doing with rehab for the soldiers who have been terribly injured and wounded. We heard a story from one of the Hiling. It was really an act of God that saved his life, and Hadassah Hospital is continuing to save his life. So please dig deep into your pockets, please, before Pesach, and make your donations to Hadassah Hospital. You can call Sandy Wine or Xenia Cohen. We want to thank you very much for all your support. We also want to remind you that tomorrow, Thursday, April 4th, is a very interesting program. We are having a lecture by a renowned clinical psychiatrist, from Hadassah Hospital, who is coming to Building 51 tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. So please come. She's going to talk about our children, meaning our young children, from COVID to war. Should be a very compelling lecture. So please come and bring your adult children to listen to this. It's free. So if you're a member, so men and women are invited, and it's in English. So please join us tomorrow on Thursday, April 4th. And we hope to see you there. All right, we're going to get started with our continuation of Shimshon. We're going to start right away. We're going to dive into the text because there's some very interesting things going on. So I'm going to share the screen with the text so that you see what's going on here. Okay, chapter 14. And I'm going to ask, let's see, Linda, would you like to read some for us, please?
Yes, I'm going to read it from the screen, okay?
Yes.
Okay. And Samson went down to Timnah, and he saw a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. And he came up and told his father and mother and said, I have seen a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. So now take her to me for a wife. Oh, that's not good. And his father and mother said to him, is there no woman among the daughters of your brothers and among all my people that you go to take a wife from the uncircumcised Philistines? But Samson said to his father, take her from me, because she is pleasing in my eyes.
Okay, let's stop here.
Okay.
And let's talk about
wow. I thought it was a different kind of a person.
Okay. Now don't forget that Shimshon has been has been under God's watchful eye from conception to his birth.
Right.
And clearly now he's old enough to see that women are attractive, and we don't know exactly how old he is, but we see that he has been enticed by the Philistine woman. Now, we wonder why we're told about this woman, and we're going to see that Shimshon has several weaknesses, and one of them are women in
Yeah.
his life. And this is the first one. So let's see what happens with her and how his parents can't seem to guide him away from what he wants. He seems to be a very strong-willed person.
Yeah.
He's he seems to not be sure of his purpose, and we don't know whether his mother and father explain to him who he is, what he's supposed to be doing. We don't understand why he makes certain decisions. He is a real conundrum, as they say.
Yeah.
And so let's find out what's going to happen. Continued.
Okay, so we're up to 4. Now his father and mother did not know that it was from the Lord, that he sought a pretense against the Philistines. Now, at that time, the Philistines were ruling over Israel. And Samson and his father and mother went down to Timnath, and they came to the vineyards of Timnath, and behold, a young lion roared towards him.
Okay, so before we get
Okay,
into the lion story, it's very interesting to note in 4, it says, now his mother and father, after chastising him, doesn't, can't you find a Jewish girl? Can't you find someone who's appropriate to marry? After all, we know he's a Nazir. So that's a very special position that he holds. And he's also preordained to be a judge at the time of the during Shoftim. So you would think that he would take a stance that, yes, I need to find someone who's going to be my Ezer Kenegdo, my partner in supporting the Jewish nation and doing what is right in God's eyes. But we find no, that his choice, and it says here, now his father and mother did not know it was from the Lord. Now we can take this to mean, and the commentators certainly say that he saw this woman, and there was a point to it, that God brings her to his attention for a reason, and we're going to find out what that reason is. However, um, uh, at the first glance, his choice, you would, like his mother and father, we go, well, wait, this is inappropriate. But let's find out what he's going to do with this woman, Philistine woman, and what's going to happen to him on the way. So go ahead.
okay, we're up to 6. And
7.
there rested on him a spirit of the Lord, and he rent it as one would rent a kid, although he had nothing in his hand, but he did not tell his father and mother what he had done. And he went down and he talked concerning the woman, and she was pleasing in Shimshon's eyes. So that hasn't changed.
Nope.
And he returned after a few days to take her. Oh, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion, and behold, a swarm of bees was in the body of the lion with honey. And he separated it into his hands, and he went on eating as he went. And he went to his father and mother and gave them, and they ate. But he did not tell them that he had separated the honey from the body of the lion.
Okay, now this is like a little story, a little parable within a story, and we see that when God comes over Shimshon. His strength is tremendous. He rips apart this lion who jumps out of the forest wherever they're walking and attacks him, and he rips the lion apart and leaves the carcass, leaves the body of the lion on the road. And then we find out that Shimshon is now sometime later coming to see this woman and to talk to her. Clearly, he's going to talk to her about a relationship that they'll have. And on the way to seeing this woman, this Philistine woman, he kind of takes a detour to see what happened to the carcass of the lion. Now, we know as a Nazir, he's not supposed to come into contact with anything that's tameh, unclean, and a carcass is unclean. Now, whether whether Shimshon knows all these rules and regulations, we don't know, because he's living in the latter part of the time of the judges, and the experiment that God has given to Bnei Israel of having judges rule over the people for almost 400 years has proven not to be a very successful experiment in keeping the people of Israel on the right track of believing in God, doing what was right in the eyes of God, and living a yashar, upright life. Because we see that now we're on our 12th judge, and the Jewish people sink deeper and deeper and deeper into the culture, the religious practices, and the immorality of the Canaanite cultures and all of the cultures surrounding them. Now, the Philistines have come on the scene, and they are militarily superior to Bnei Israel in every way. And they also have iron, the ability to make iron chariots and iron weapons, which the Bnei Israel do not. Also, Bnei Israel is so far removed from their connection to God that we wonder if Shimshon isn't a reflection of the times, that he is not a holy person in terms of his relationship with God. We don't see him conferring with God, talking with God. It says the Spirit of God comes over him. And it doesn't say that God and the judge have this conversation, what's going to happen, what God expects of him. It's just like haphazard. And is this an example of what life was like in the tribe of Dan at the time of almost, not quite, of the end of the period of the Shoftim? Had the people sunk so low that they don't even know how to have a relationship with God, how to be attracted to Jewish women, to stay within the tribes, within the Jewish nation? We see that he is going to be doing things that are totally out of all the rules and regulations that we have, and how to behave with women and people in battle. That Shimshon is like a loose cannon, as they say. So he goes back and he sees that within the carcass there is a swarm of bees that have created honeycomb, and he bends down, scoops the honeycomb up, and it's sufficient enough to eat for himself, and he is going to take it to his mother and father. But it says clearly that he doesn't tell his parents where the honey is from. So this in itself could be very clearly, an avera for a Nazir, eating from a carcass, a dead animal that has not been shechted with and made kosher or whatever. But there's also some underlying things here going on. why a lion? I mean, how many lions are there roaming around the Middle East? We don't really know, but it doesn't seem like they were, you know, anything prolific at the time, but we don't know. But there's a symbolism here. Which tribe has the symbol of the lion?
Yehuda.
That's right, Yehuda.
Yeah.
Now, last week we discussed the relationship between the tribe of Yehuda and the tribe of Dan. And it is a very interesting relationship. I'm going to quickly mention one thing now, that in Bereshit we get the brachas from Yaakov to each one of his 12 sons. And in the bracha to Yehuda, he calls him a lion. He'll be the lion of Israel, the protector of Israel, and of course the monarchy will come from him. To the tribe of Dan, he says that the tribe will provide a judge, and that the tribe is like a serpent, a snake that bites the heel of the enemy. And we talked about that this was very telling, because a snake acts alone in attacking its enemy, and Shimshon acts alone in attacking his enemy. And the snake bites the heel because he's on the ground of the enemy, and of the horse of the chariot driver, and the chariot can't proceed without being pulled by the horses. So this is the kind of sneaky way of the tribe of Dan rescuing the people of Israel by being alone, being opposite from the tribe of Yehuda. And here also we find in the wandering of the Jews in the desert that the tribe of Yehuda and Dan were selected to build the Mishkan with Bezalel, and they were the ones. Yehuda would be in the front of Bnei Israel, leading the people of Israel through the desert, and Dan would be the rear guard, picking up the pieces and making sure that everyone didn't fall behind. And so we can almost assume that Amalek when it said Amalek attacked the rear of the Bnei Israel, the people who are slower, the people who are at the very end. We can assume that references the people of Dan. So both positions, the forward guard and the rear guard, are very important. But Dan seems to have been given in many instances the lone job of being alone, separate, and very different from Yehuda. So here's the lion that could be very compelling, attacking Shimshon, and Shimshon ripping it apart, the lion apart. Now, whether the Mefarshim have various things to say, but they're not sure exactly what this significance of the lion is. And we can think to ourselves, perhaps, we don't have to go into the midrashic ideas of this, but we can certainly say that the Lion of Judah may certainly have something to do with the last person who is a judge during the period of the judges, who is from the tribe of Dan. The forward guard attacking the rear guard. And there may be something here that we will learn in Sukkim that are coming up, and how Shimshon will be the attacker and the forward person in this particular instance. So he takes the honey, something sweet has come out of something bad or negative. It is coming from something tamei, and now he's going to to give it to his parents, but he's not going to tell his parents where he got it from, because clearly his mother would say this is from an unclean animal. We can't have this. And Shimshon is not going to be listening to what she has to say at the moment. So continue.
Okay, we're up to 10. Now his father went down concerning the woman, and Shimshon made there a feast because the young men were accustomed to do so. And it was when they saw him that they took 30 companions and they were with him. Now Shimshon said to them, "Let me ask you a riddle. If you can tell it to me within the 7 days of feasting, and you will guess it, then I will give you 30 linen sheets and 30 suits of clothing."
Okay. Now, Shimshon has come down. He has entered into a relationship with the Philistines. Now, if in fact this is preordained by Hashem, then Shimshon is going to be acting alone. He is going to be doing what we call like a spy, who works alone. He's going to be someone who ingratiates himself into the Philistine community so that he understands the workings of the community. So when he is ready to attack, he will know exactly what to do and how to do it. So he has 30 men, friends of that are hanging around the community, and they're at this feast. Who knows whether it is a pre-wedding feast or if it's just some type of a get together where the families meet each other, because Shimshon's mother and father are with him, and so he now thinks that he's going to trick the Philistines with a riddle, and he is going to tell them something, and he makes a deal with them. The deal is that if they can guess what the riddle is all about and interpret it, that he will certainly give them 30 outfits of clothing, which is supposed out of linen, and it's something very special, that he will give them 30 outfits. And if they can't within the 7 days of feasting, then they have to give it to him, these garments. So let's continue and see what the riddle is. Go
I
ahead.
just want to ask you something. Now, when you come up to this part, it kind of makes sense. Maybe this was his plan all along, because it may not be that he was attracted really to a Philistine woman, but it starts out with that, and as the story progresses, you actually see that he really has something in mind.
Perhaps he does. Perhaps he does. Okay, let's see what happens.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else have something to say? Okay.
Okay. We're up to 14. And he said to them, "From the eater came out food, and out of the strong came out sweetness." But they could not tell the riddle for 3 days. And it was on the 7th day that oh my God, they said to Shimshon's wife, when did he get married?
Okay, so he got married. Go ahead.
Okay, "Persuade your husband so that he will tell us the riddle, lest we bum you and your father's house with fire. Have you called us here to impoverish us?" And
okay,
Samson,
okay, so some of the details, a lot of the details have been left out. So clearly, I thought maybe someone might say something when it says 7 days of feasting, and now we learn that it was he's married. That perhaps there was some kind of Sheva Brachot or celebration for 7 days We don't know exactly if there were Shever brachas back then, but there were feasting with the bride and the groom. And so Shimshon and his unnamed wife, this is very similar to the unnamed mother who takes a very strong hand in the whole pre-birth and relationship with her husband Manoah. Now Shimshon, with an unnamed wife, is taking a very strong position with the Philistines, and they come to her secretly and they threaten her. They're blackmailing her, and they're saying to her, "Listen, if you don't get the answer from your husband, we're going to kill you. We're going to burn down your family's house, and we're going to burn you. We're going to burn you alive. So you better do what we ask you to do, because we do not want this fellow having to best us." So continue. Let's see what happens.
16. And Shimshon's wife wept upon him and said, "You only hate me and do not love me. The riddle you have asked my people, but to me you have not told it." And he said to her, "Behold, to my father and mother I have not told it, and to you I should tell it." Clearly, his parents are coming first. Okay. And she wept upon him the 7 days that their feast lasted. And it was on the seventh day that he told her, because she had tormented him, and she told the riddle to her people. Oh.
All right, so she betrays him. She plays the female card, and she betrays him by crying and weeping, and "Oh, you don't love me," same old, same old. Nothing has changed. We've all used these tactics, I'm sure. "You don't love me. If you love me, you take me out to dinner. What does it matter?" Okay. So we know that she has used her feminine wiles to get the secret of the riddle out of Shimshon, and she tells her people so that she doesn't suffer the consequences of their threats.
But he doesn't seem to learn anything from the experiences with this woman. I mean, going on into what comes up.
Well, let's not. Okay, so Beverly, I don't know if you heard her sitting next to me, said he's not learning anything from this betrayal of a woman, because she's clearly read ahead and knows what's coming up. So let's wait and see what happens. Okay, now go and continue.
We're up to 18. Okay. And the men of the city said to him on the seventh day, before the sun set, "What is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion?" And he said to them, "Had you not plowed with my heifer, you would not have found out my riddle." And there rested upon him a spirit of the Lord. And he went down to Ashkelon and killed of them 30 men. And he took their clothing and gave the suits to those who had told the riddle. But his anger was kindled, and he went up to his father's house. And Samson's wife, I love this, it was given to his companion who had accompanied him.
Okay, so this is quite the story. He marries her. He falls prey to her feminine wiles, and he tells her the answer to the riddle. She tells the Philistines. The Philistines answer the riddle on the last day, at the last moment, as if they were thinking so hard about it and trying to figure it out. And they answer the riddle. And so Samson, Shimshon, has to come up with 30 outfits of clothing. So instead of buying them or doing or having someone make them for them, he goes down into Ashkelon, which is a Philistine area, a city as we know, on the Mediterranean. that is occupied by the Philistines, and he kills 30 guys, and he takes their clothing, and he gives them to the people who have answered the riddle. So he's very upset that his riddle didn't stump them, and clearly he understands that he has been betrayed by his wife, so he leaves her. He just leaves her, and he not only does he leave her, but she's given to his companion. Now,
Who gave her to his?
we don't know. It says Samson's wife was given to his companion, so we don't know who gave it. Who he might have said something to her like, "You've betrayed me." I'm putting words in his mouth. I don't want to create my own midrash, but what he might have done is said, "Look, this is not going to work. I see that you're not loyal to me, and you're not going to have my back. So you can go to your people and go to someone else." Yeah, what he says. We've seen at the beginning of the text in chapter 13, where I said I think God has a sense of humor, because the angel, when he comes to Manoah's wife, says, and Manoah says to him, "I want you to tell me what you told my wife. I want all the details told to me." And the angel says, "Your wife told you what I told her. So listen to your wife. I'm not telling it to you again." So it was a little tongue in cheek there. Now, something else is being said here, which could be taken in a very interesting way. Let's read that. That's all I can say. Shimshon says to the guys who answer the riddle, they say right here at the end, 7 of the 7 days, that the answer to the riddle, and Shimshon says, and he said to them, the Philistines, "Had you not plowed with my heifer, you would not have found out my riddle."
Is that his wife, the heifer?
Yeah. Yes. And what?
Yeah.
And what do you think that infers?
That infers that they had relationships with her.
Exactly. So
those is not faithful anyway.
Right. So he feels very betrayed. So I mean, he just doesn't give her up, just stunned. She betrays him with the secret of the riddle, and B, he feels as though she has betrayed him with these men, and that's how they got the answer. So another kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of something that you wouldn't ordinarily see in biblical text, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay, we get another. Yeah. Go ahead.
They say it's said in a way where it kind of like just implies.
Right.
Instead of with the words that it really is.
Right. Okay. And then we get a very important piece of information at the end here. Yeah. And what does it say?
That Samson's wife was given to his companion who had accompanied him.
Okay.
Which the companion doesn't have a name.
Right. Okay. So we're given to understand that this relationship is finished, and that Shimshon is done with this particular woman. And now we see that he has had a difficult relationship with the Philistines. He didn't get exactly what he wanted. He wanted to get the upper hand with them, but he didn't, because of this betrayal. So let's move on because it's important for us to see what's going to happen here. Let's move on to chapter 15. Linda, you're doing such a good job.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
And it was after a few days in the time of the wheat harvest, and Shimshon remembered his wife with a kid and said, I will come to my wife into the room. But her father did not allow him to come in. And her father said, I said that you had utterly hated her, and I gave her to your companion. Is not her youngest, this is like Rachel and Leah.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Is not her younger sister better than she? Let her now be yours instead of her.
Okay, so here the father,
It's her father, though,
it's
not
it's
his
it's the
father.
wife's father who
Right.
said,
No way.
he says, okay, look, you left her, I gave her away. She's now with somebody else. She's not going to be your wife anymore, but I have a sister, I have her, I have her sister here, and she's probably better than what you had before. So we see how the immorality of the culture here. One's as good as the other. There's no bonds here. There's no loyalty here. There's no trust. Even the father, will give one child away and make decisions. And there's no decency about all of this. And here Shimshon's is the time of the wheat harvest. We don't know how long it is since he left her, and now he's thinking about her, and now he decides he's going to take a goat to her, and now we find that this relationship is finished. Okay, it's over. And it's not a child, it's a goat. They didn't have a child. So, okay. So
It's a
let's,
yeah.
So
Verse 3. And
Yeah.
Shimshon said to them, this time I shall be blameless from the Philistines when I will do them harm. So he's
okay, so
threatening
he's got a short temper here. And he's on a short fuse. And he says, you did this to me, and I cannot be held responsible for my actions based on
Right.
what's happened here. Something is going to happen. Go ahead.
Wait.
4.
Number 4. And Shimshon went and caught 300 foxes and took torches and turned tail to tail and put one torch between every 2 tails in the middle. Okay. And he kindled fire on the torches and set them loose in the standing grain, of the Philistines, and burnt up from the stacks to the standing grain and to the vineyards and the olive trees.
Okay. So,
wow.
Okay. So
he sets a whole fire.
Yeah, he sets the whole place on fire. He takes the foxes, he ties their tails together with a torch, lights a torch on them. So the foxes running into the fields, setting everything on fire, setting all the bales of hay or wheat or grains or whatever, and he completely destroys, the harvest and the crops that have been of the Philistines. Okay, and the fire spreads to the vineyards and to the olive trees, and the destruction is quite horrific. So, and he says, I'm not going to be held responsible for this.
Right.
Okay, continue.
7. And Shimshon said to them, are you accustomed?
Go to 6.
Oh, I'm sorry. And the Philistines said, who has done this? And they said, Shimshon, the son-in-law of the Timnite, because he has taken his wife and has given her to his companion. And the Philistines went up and burnt her and her father with fire. Oh my God. And Shimshon said to them, are you accustomed to do like this? Then I have to be avenged from you, and after that I shall cease. And he struck them, the riders and the foot soldiers, with a great slaughter. And he went down and dwelt in the cleft of the rock of Etam. And the
Okay,
Philistines,
okay, hold on. So let's see what's happened here. All right, so everything is burnt to a crisp, everything is gone, and
Including her and her father.
and now and her father, and they're gone, everything's gone, and the Philistines are enraged by what he's done, and they're not too happy with his behavior.
Mm.
So clearly some type of a warlike or battle-like encounter occurs, and after everything is burned, the father is all gone. The wife is gone. So now Shimshon runs away. It seems to be that once something, he has this outburst, he's enraged, he has a temper tantrum. Now he has to run away from the situation, and he whatever he's going to be doing in his quiet time, this is what happens. And he goes to a place, it's called the cleft of the rock of Etam. Now, that happens to be, I believe, in the area near Yehuda. Okay, so let's find out what's going to happen here. Go ahead, Linda.
And the Philistines went up and encamped in Judah and spread out in Lehi. And the men of Judah said, why have you come up against us? And they said, to get you to bind Shimshon, we have come up to do to him as he has done to us. And there went down 3,000 men from Judah to the cleft of the rock of Etam, and they said to Shimshon, did you not know that the Philistines rule over us? Now, what is it that you have done to us? And he said to them, as they did to me, so I have done to them. And they said to him, we have come down to bind you and give you into their hand, but we will not kill you. And they bound him with 2 new ropes and brought him up from the rock. Oh,
Okay.
nasty.
All right. So, all right, let's see what happens here, and then we're going to talk about what's going on.
As he came up to Lehi, the Philistines shouted towards him, and there rested upon him a spirit of the Lord, and the ropes that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire, and his bonds melted off his hands.
Okay.
Maybe they didn't melt. Maybe he was just strong enough to break them.
Right. It's as if it's a metaphor, it's as if it melted off. He was so strong. All right. So here we have, it's an interesting encounter here. What we have is that the tribe of Judah is now involved.
Right.
Let's take a look at this. Okay. Here's the tribe of Judah. Shimshon had gone to Ashkelon to over here to burn down the fields, etc. And now he's going to, it's called the Cliff of Etam, which I cannot see. Maybe you can find it here. I don't know that it's listed, but we see that Shimshon has gone from the west coast over into Judah and the tribe of Judah, and he has come from the tribe of Dan all the way up here. He's come down to Timnah. The woman was in Timnah, And this is all where the action takes place. Now, what are we finding here that is so interesting? Again, I told you that there is some kind of a relationship that has been going on from the beginning of the Exodus in the time of Yehuda, with the tribe of Yehuda and Dan. Now, we had some kind of little story about this lion attacking him and honey coming out of it, something sweet out of perhaps the tribe of Yehuda. Maybe that was a story. There's no clear information about that and what it actually means. Lots of midrash, lots of stories, it could be this, could be that. But here we find again, he goes into the Philistine camp, into the area of the Philistines, the country, and now he runs away after doing a massive burning of the area, and he runs away into Yehuda. Okay, so he's going for refuge into Yehuda. Now, the Philistines come out of their area where they're living to the tribe of Yehuda, and they say to him, look, there's this guy who's among you, this guy who's really done some major league damage in our area, and we want you to go get him because he's hanging out in the cliffs of Etam. Nobody has heard of Shimshon in the tribe of Yehuda. Nobody knows that he's a judge. Nobody knows that he is fighting for Am Yisrael. They don't know who he is, and so they listen to the Philistines in order to protect themselves and the tribe of Yehuda from being attacked by the Philistines. They say, what do you want from us? And they say to him, the Philistines say to the tribe of Yehuda, these men, go get Shimshon, tie him up, bind him, and deliver him to us all bound up so that we can deal with him, and then we won't bother you. Having no clue who this guy is or where he's from, they don't even know if he's part of Am Yisrael. They go and get him. They bind him up, it says, with new ropes. And they mention new ropes because that's going to be significant in the next story. And we hear that he's taken by the Philistines. They're going to deal with him for all the craziness that he's done. And now we find that he doesn't even have the text doesn't even say to all of us reading it that Shimshon says, hey, I'm part of you. I'm trying to save you from the Philistines. Don't hand me over. So either Shimshon is not very bright and communicative, or he still wants to be known as a loose cannon among the Philistines because he's got a purpose, an ultimate goal in mind that he doesn't want anyone to know. And he is the only person among the judges who does not identify himself as a judge and does not amass an army to back him up. He's a singular guerrilla warfare guy, and he's going to do this all alone. So it says something about his personality. I believe it says something about the trust and the connection that Am Yisrael has among the tribes at this point, and the situation with the Philistines. And having said all this, we're going to leave Shimshon here, and next week we're going to find out what happens to him and he has clearly shown us that he is, he's stumping us for some reason. We don't understand him. We don't understand his motives. We don't understand how he's going to do things. And it's very telling of the times he lives in. So thank you very much for joining us today. And thank you, everybody, for watching this video. We hope and pray that you will join us tomorrow in our lecture, 7 o'clock on Thursday. And we'll see you then. Have a good week and a Shabbat Shalom.